live. Let's go.
Where to go live and where should be.
All right. Sounds great. Um, so we should be looking at our screen here. So thank you guys so much. This is Sean Ritchie, your People First candidate for House District 49, which is Kaneohe and Maunawili on the windward side of Oahu. As you can see, I am not your typical refined politician, but I do believe I am the right public servant and man for this job. Not taking anything away from anybody who's running. Going through this grassroots campaign myself, I know exactly how much this takes from you, and so I have respect for everybody that I'm running against, and there's still time. So if somebody sees this and would like to run as well, I highly encourage as much competition as possible. It is one of the things that I do hope to accomplish in my time in office, is to raise up a stable of candidates to run against me in the future, because again, I think that we need that innovation, we need those voices, we need that turnover if we're really going to be successful in instilling a certain amount of pride for everybody in Hawaii to take care and participate and be a part of what we are hoping to accomplish. So, my name is Sean Ritchie. I was born and raised right here on Oahu in Aiea. I've been in Kaneohe for 7 years now. Both of my beautiful children, who are on our website there, are born right here in Kaneohe. Please, if you are watching this, please like and subscribe, share out these videos. We will be cutting up certain portions of it to make sure that it's appropriate and that we have shareable content across our platforms. It's Vote Sean Ritchie on all platforms: Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. There is a Facebook page for that. Please go over and subscribe. That's where we'll want to have these conversations, and really that's what this is all about, is fostering conversations. One of my most popular videos so far has been about the fact that growing up we're told not to talk about politics, not to talk about religion, and while that has some while that can make sense in some circumstances, it is really working against us now that politics is in so many aspects of our lives that it wasn't before. Politics is in our entertainment, it's in our homes, it's in our sports, it's in our schools. There's really no escaping politics anymore. And part of that is a good thing, I think, if we're going to have progress in how we treat people and do better as a government to support people in coming out of poverty, moving out of poverty. We are going to need to find those, we're going to need to find the space to have those conversations. And so it starts with education. And so that's going to be the purpose of the video tonight, is going to be talking about the basics education of the state government. I'm going to give you some resources that we're going to go over for the next few streams as we kind of break this down, have a conversation. I'll share some of my story, some of my perspective, and then again also go to these source materials. So once you've liked and subscribed on here, checked out our social media, please head over to the website. It is voteseanritchie.com. I got it pulled up over here. Again, that's my family. Really quickly, on the website, you can donate. Again, I'm not going to be pandering for donations. That's not what this is about. This is a leap of faith for me personally to put myself out there, run for office. I do believe I'm qualified. I do believe I'm the right person to step up to this moment. But I've never, one of the biggest growths that I'm going to have to make through this is being better at receiving and asking for help. I've always sort of motivated myself, moved myself through these things. But you learn over time that even if you can do everything, you can't do everything at the same time, and you need to work together if you're really gonna get to the goals that you set. So this campaign is an open book. If you're watching this, if you're in Kaneohe Maunawili, even if you're not and you just like the message, you want to help out, you can also click on the Get Involved tab and go ahead and fill out our volunteer sheet over here so we can get connected with you. And again, there are donation options here. But really, what we're hoping to do is foster an environment where people can come, get to know me, understand my intentions, see what's going on, and figure out the best way for them to get involved. I don't want this to be a forced thing. So, please consider that. Outside of the Get Involved, there's a little About Me. You can take action and go over to my link in bio. News and updates. I'm going to try and at least post an article every couple of weeks. I'm a little bit behind right now, but we'll get that going. But the two I really want to go over is the We Can and Do Better. You'll see above me here that we have our button. It's also on our yard signs, and it is the overarching message of what I'm hoping to accomplish here, which is that we need to shift the mindset that is currently pervasive in Hawaii from could be worse, settlement mentality, there's nothing that we can do, to a mentality of we can do better. Again, not drastic. I don't think things are that bad. I just think that we've lost our way a bit in what we are prioritizing as a government for the funding. And I believe that the shift that's needed is to just make sure our focus is on putting people first. So that's going to be the other half of the campaign, is we can do better and people first. But first, let's break down that we can do better. So we have it on our website under two different tabs. First one is We Can. See my pretty face there. It is hot out here. I am fair-skinned, even though I was born and raised here. So I might be a little sweaty, might be a little red, but that's just because I'm putting in the effort. I'm knocking on doors, I'm sign waving, everything I can for a true grassroots approach to this campaign. But really, this page is about the things we can do. And a lot of what I see is we can't expect people to come to us. I can't expect you all to leave the important things that you're doing right now, the way you're living your life, to come over and hang out with me and put in your time and your effort. I have to meet you where you're at. And so me and my family are not looking at this as we're going to knock on your door and get your vote, and then you're not going to see us for, till the next election season. We want this to be where you know where we're at. You know that we're investing in our community, which is Kaneohe Maunawili. We are trying to make those places better for ourselves, for our children, for our businesses. And that's the things that we can do. So for me, it's, where can we meet people in what they're doing to help out their community? So we've highlighted 6 different ways. Media, so any podcast, I'm reaching out to voices. I'm starting my own here, putting myself out there on the internet. We are so lucky to be connected. There's so many resources for even underprivileged or people who can't afford internet access. There are federal programs. Please reach out to me. I can help you to get connected because we need the access to the internet right now, but we want to make sure that we are controlling our media and our media isn't controlling us. So that looks like local voices, local storytellers, independent media, third-party sources, people who are looking at both sides of a story in our communities, because again, that's what matters. That's what we're investing in. Is if people are doing good things in our community, we want people to be telling those stories and really focusing on that. So in my time in office, I will be looking to not only promote voices that are already in my community who are sharing, but also to raise up new voices, people who are interested in becoming a member of the press, if that's what they desire, or just being a personality and sharing their voice via podcast. So that's really a passion of mine that I want to help with. Next is food independence. Super important right now that we are having a connection with our food, that we understand where it's coming from, how sustainable it is, how it's affecting our landfills, how it's affecting our soil, and really being good stewards of the land. Politics, so obviously I'm looking to start that, but building connections. When people ask me going door to door, what do you hope to accomplish, I always make sure that I say the number one thing I'm looking to accomplish is to build a connective network so that it's easy to get in touch with me, easy to let me know what's going on with you, host surveys, host other things to make sure that I am balancing the will of the people against the special interests and lobbyists that will be in legislature. And again, that's the way I believe it was designed to be. But, and that's that little off course, right? Is the lobbyists are still there. There's still testimony at the Capitol. Those are all great. But to me, you are supposed to be taking your people's voice from the community to the people's house, and then weighing that against those special interests and whatnot. So getting back to having those connections. Community independence can mean a lot of things. Education, exchange programs, anything like that. It's really wide open. Medical. We want to look at not just community clinics and access to healthcare for everybody, but also access to affordable well-being programs, from fitness to nutrition, so on and so forth. So super important, as well as small businesses, the financial angle, making sure that not only are we purchasing local and keeping those dollars in our economy, but also that we are looking to find ways to get people connected and investing financially into things in their neighborhood to ensure their success and also share in their profits. I think that it's time, and that's what we're looking for right now, is things to be connected to. I think that, at least for me and for people that I know, the last couple of years have really disconnected a lot of networks that I thought were strong, that were stress tested, and unfortunately didn't make it. So we want to rebuild those and make sure that it is coming together. And so again, it's about that mindset, right? It's about shifting from that settlement mindset that could be worse, there's nothing we can do, that apathy that unfortunately plagues Hawaii, especially in voting, especially in politics. How can we shift that mentality to we can do better? And again, slow, incremental, better. Hawaii doesn't move at a fast pace. Anybody who's thinking that this is going to be a fast change, it won't. But if we put people first, if we start to shift the needle back to people, back to that representative government, back to one of my personal Democrat heroes is JFK, and he always talks about, the partnership of government and people to ensure progress in our daily lives. And I think that there's been a lot of distrust. There's been a lot of things that have made it where, we need to get back to that partnership, and that partnership starts with the mindset of, we can do better. So the other half, like I said, is people first. So people first is not just, looking at a budget or legislation and saying, how does this benefit, the residents of Hawaii, the people of Hawaii, but also a set of principles to help guide that. So there are 11 principles. The first of each spells out the words people first, and they're really pretty basic. I hope that none of these come as a shock to anybody. The idea is, with this people first policies and principles, wherever you're coming from, we want to build a safe place for conversation, for working together for the betterment of our politics and the way that we are governed. And so it's meant to be a bridge for anybody to come in, be a part of the conversation to make things better. And then obviously I'm a Democrat, so I'm going to be pushing for progress. I believe government is there to support the needs of the people and to lift up people as best we can. And I'm always going to be of that nature. I don't really understand anything else. I think that if you're not pushing for progress, if you don't think we can do better, if you're not trying to do better for everybody, if you're, putting business or special interests over the people, then, I don't think now is your time. I think that now is the time to put people first. And I think Hawaii saw a little bit of that magic when we entered into the pandemic in 2020. I always say, and I will continue to say, I was so proud of how we responded as a community, as a people, to this unprecedented event, and how we transitioned and changed, which a lot of people didn't think was possible here, just because so entrenched, so apathetic in a lot of ways. But Hawaii really did change a lot for the better in a lot of ways, as far as better telework accommodations, better hygiene, making sure that we are respecting each other and putting those things first. However, I've been saddened by the how it's transpired since that initial shock where everybody came together. It really, especially the last year and the beginning of this year, it really hasn't seemed people first. And I think that's why there's so much division and there's so much concern out there as I'm walking, is because we're not putting people first. So please go check those out. That is the main part I'm going to go over today. Hopefully tomorrow I'll go over do better. But please check out the website, donate if you can, volunteer, and not money, but your time, your voice, anything like that. Even just liking and subscribing goes a long way. So this is truly grassroots. There's nobody funding me. You can look up my history. You can call me and ask me about my history. I'm not in this to build something for myself. I'm in this to do better for my children, my community, and the place and people that I love. So thank you for that. Again, if you go over to the Take Action or the link in bio on any of my social media, you'll get to my page here. You can connect to the campaign. You can go to the website. You can book a session so we can do a one-on-one, either via Zoom. It can be a phone call, or if you would like to open your house or a location, I'm happy to go and speak in front of anybody. I will take every opportunity that I can to make sure that I'm giving my all to this run. And again, truly grassroots. We do have yard signs available. They look like the one behind me. Originally, I was going to do this design, but it was way more expensive. Again, right now, it's all coming out of my family's pocket. We do have shirts available. And this is a suggested price, and then my People First pledge, which is on the website, and I'll go over in a future date. All right, so let's jump into today's message. Again, if you have not, please like and subscribe. We are going to be trying to go on at least 3 times a week, but I'm really hoping for daily, at least to get it going. Content and consistency is the key, and I'm going to be trying to capitalize on as many different avenues as I can. Hopefully we'll get some guests on, my wife will come on, maybe even my kids, just to let everybody know that I'm a normal guy. You can hear my cat meowing away. I have a couple of dogs. We have a tortoise, we have a quail. So this is as real as it gets. And again, with resources and effort, this can only get better. But right now, humble beginnings. So let's dive in. So the first resource that I really want to share with everybody is the Legislative Reference Bureau. So I used to have the hard copy book. I think actually it's still up there. So, but that's from 2013. They did a great job updating their website, and they have a lot of resources available. LRB is just the way that it goes by is lrb.hawaii.gov. It's a great resource. They have training courses, they have videos. This is going to be the source of a lot of things that I'm going to go through, but it really is a great place to explore if you have the time. Hopefully I can break down some of these things, and I'll try and make a little bit kind of more graphic videos and show a little bit more illustration of what I'm going to be talking about. But if you want the source material, lrb.hawaii.gov is a great place to start. I'm going to go. So we're going to start with the Hawaii Constitution, and we're going to go through the preamble as well as Article 1 before we jump into the legislative session. So it goes, "We, the people of Hawaii, grateful for divine guidance and mindful of our Hawaiian heritage and uniqueness as an island state, dedicate our efforts to fulfill the philosophy decreed by the Hawaii state motto, Ua mau ke ea o ka aina I ka pono, which is life of the land is perpetuated in righteousness. We reserve the right to control our destiny, to nurture the integrity of our people and culture, and to preserve the quality of life that we desire." So this is what our entire government is based on, is this commitment to the people and to the place. And we reaffirm our belief in a government of the people, by the people, and for the people, and with the understanding and compassionate heart towards all people of earth, to hereby ordain and establish this Constitution for the state of Hawaii. So then we go into Article 1, and this is important. This is also the first of our People First principles, pretty much restates this, but here's Article 1. "All political power of this state, Hawaii, is inherent in the people and is the responsibility for the exercise thereof rests with the people. All government is founded on this authority." Our People First principle is power of government resides in the people. I admit that I am powerful and that my voice matters in determining the control and direction of Hawaii and its political representation. So this is not just a principle, it is backed up by the first section of Article 1, our Bill of Rights. So with that, we're going to jump into Article 3. Again, if you have the time, I suggest you go through this entire thing. It is a lot. We will be going through sections. But we're going to start with the legislature. So that is what I am running for. I am, really, this is my first time going door to door, speaking with people. You never really know where people are at as far as how much exposure or education they have to the political process. When I first moved back to Hawaii after college and my military service, I was blessed to work a legislative session in a committee that has a lot of power in our legislature, and I was able to observe and learn a lot of what I'm telling you. And so I'm speaking from personal experience as well as working in the government thereafter on the executive side, and then for the University of Hawaii. So been in this government system for a while, understand not only how it's designed, but also the pace at which it moves and what is required to make change in an environment that is largely resistant to change. So we're going to go into just the overview. So the legislative branch is one of 3 branches of government that make up the Hawaii state government. So we have obviously the legislature, which is composed of 2 houses, the Senate and the House of Representatives. There is the executive branch, which is directed by the governor, as well as all of his state agencies, Department of Health, Department of Education, although I think they're their own jurisdiction, so not them, but Department of Health, Department of Land and Natural Resources, Department of Taxation, Department of Human Resources. Basically, the executive branch is there to run the government. So that is the function of, accomplishing all of the requirements of this Constitution, as well as all laws that are passed thereafter, as well as being stewards of the budgets that are approved by legislature. And then finally, there is the judicial branch, which is again there to enforce the laws that are created by legislature. So one more time, I'm going to try and make that as simple as I can. The legislature, which is composed of the House and Senate, is there to create laws as well as to establish yearly budgets for allocation, as well as resolutions, and we'll get into some of the others. But basically, the legislature, which is House of Representatives, as well as the Senate, are there to approve laws and budgets. Then those laws and budgets must be enacted by the either city and county or the executive branch, who would then make sure that the goals, the resolutions, the laws that are defining them are being accomplished. So again, the executive branch is the engine that makes it all go. And then there is the judicial branch, which is again supposed to be a check and balance of the other 2 for any corruption, anything like that, but also to enforce the laws not only on the government, but also on the people. So those are our 3 branches. Again, the legislature is composed of 2 different sections. And so the first section is the House of Representatives, which is again, which I am running for. I'm running for District 49 of 51. So there are 51 representatives. And so again, they are called representatives because they are there to speak on behalf of the population and the jurisdiction which they are elected from. So they are there to be the representatives of the people. And again, if we go back to the preamble, right? So all of the power of the government is derived and inherent from the people. And so we, the people, have that power, and then we entrust it to our representatives and our senators, who are then there to be stewards of our voice in the people's house, to establish laws and to establish resolutions that ensure that we are controlling our destiny, nurturing integrity, and preserving the quality of life for the people. So that is what we are here to do. We are not here to really do anything else other than have conversations on topics that might be laws. There is some decision making that we have as far as appointees and vetoing them, as again a check and balance from some of those other branches, but largely we're there to represent the people in passing laws that benefit them and exercise their will and their power collectively to improve our quality of lives. So again, there are 51 on the House side, and then there are 25 on the Senate side. So the Senate side has fewer people, and again, because of that, because they're representing more people, they have more power in that exercise. So generally, people who are climbing the proverbial ladder for politics would do House and then Senate. It is more prestigious on the Senate side, I would say. Again, only 25, so your voice and your impact has more weight to it. But still, the House of Representatives is there to make sure that there's a collective discourse across the people that we have in one of the most diverse states out there. So again, it's really important to have that representation at all levels and to make sure that each of these communities are speaking for their communities, and that can then come together to sift through, okay, what is best for our state. All right. So we're going to go back to Article 3. So here's the 25. So 25 and then 51. So again, this is all in our Constitution. The election. So members of the House shall be for 2 years, and the Senate shall be for 4 years. So again, speaking of kind of the more of the weight on the Senate side, again, having that 4-year period versus a 2-year extension, it does make a big difference. So representatives are 2 years. Again, I stated at the beginning, and I mean it, I will be ensuring that I am raising up people to run against me each of those times, even if it's that, after 2 years. It doesn't matter to me. As long as we have good voices, good people representing their communities, I'm stepping up because it's just me and the incumbent. I have nothing against him personally. I think he's a good guy. I think he's a nice guy. I just don't think he's the right guy to step up to this moment in time to make that change and put people first. I know I have the integrity, passion, and purpose to be that voice, to be that representative, to start the change that I believe most local people know is needed. They just don't believe that it can happen, and they need to be inspired and see movement, and then I believe they'll come on board. So that's what I'm hoping to do, is be a voice in that. All right. So once everyone is elected and sworn in, the majority of their time is going to be spent on the passage of bills. Again, we talked about passing these laws, these resolutions, and what that looks like. So it does have a time frame here. Let's see. So legislature shall convene in regular session on the third Wednesday in January. So each year in January, the legislative session will kick off. Bills need to be introduced before then. Usually there's a deadline in December. So as we are moving forward and thinking about bills that are going to be helping people, that's going to be September, October, November. We need to have meetings of people to discuss and to create bills to introduce. Because, again, that's the only way that our will is going to be put into law, is if we are having those conversations and putting that to our representatives to put forth to the body. So, again, in January when it starts, each side will have its host of bills on the House side or the Senate side. So for this part, we're going to take you over to the next resource, which I hope everybody signs up for, which is capital.hawaii.gov. This is the Hawaii State Legislature website. It serves its purpose for sure. You can go down and sign up to submit testimony, which I hope everybody will. And again, even if you won't, I will be looking to make it easy for people to submit it through me, and then to have that transferred through my team onto the legislative website. So we are going to be looking for ways to improve this, make sure that we are, again, making it as easy as possible for people to share their voice and use their power in government to help change the direction or make sure that we're staying on course for things that are going to make it better. So once you're here, you can also find all of the committees, all of the legislators. It is a very useful website. It also has all of our laws. So again, the Hawaii laws are Hawaii revised statutes. That is what the legislature is amending or putting forth new laws on the books. Although most of the time we are amending, I would say. Or even adding laws into existing sections. So once you're here, you can search by keyword, you can search by the bill status. So again, SB is Senate bill and HB is House bill. So once it starts, you'll see again, started a little bit late here. I don't believe that's the third Wednesday, but this was still in our current predicament. So once it starts, then it is introduced into whichever side it is. So this is a Senate bill, so it would be introduced into the Senate, which is this little S here, and then it would pass first reading. So if we go back to our Constitution, it does require that the passage of bills pass 3 readings, a minimum of 3 readings in each house. So both the representatives as well as the senators, there must be 3 readings before it can be passed over or taken into conference or sent to the governor. So here we have the first reading. Usually this first reading is in front of the collective body. And so once it passes its first reading, then it would be referred to the committees that would oversee it. So generally, again, to get to those 3, there must be a minimum of 2 committees. Sometimes there'll be joint committees, but there is another requirement that it needs to be on separate days. So if you have a joint committee, that doesn't mean that you can just have one day and get it done. You still have to have another day, another referral. So it doesn't really matter if it's joint. There must be 2 separate occasions in which it's heard in committee before it can be passed over. Again, testimony is required through this website, so please register there. Make sure that you are sharing your voice as you can to make sure that the voice of the people is there in this capacity. For the people that I will represent, I will be making sure that I have more resources available so that they can, in fact, jump on and share their voice and be a part of what's going on. So once it is referred to the committees, then it will meet there. Again, usually it's at the Capitol with a stream out. So again, one of the benefits of our transition into the pandemic is more people are available for these video conferences, which allows for increased participation. But generally, it'll be down at the Capitol. And then once it goes into the committee, people will submit testimony. And this is the important part here is, by and large, local people are working during these times, right? These are weekdays in January. Most people are hard at work, hard at school, not able to take huge portions out of their day to be here. But who is able to be there? Lobbyists are able to be there. Special interest groups who have staff allocated to legislative session will be there. And so inherently in the legislative session, the voice of the special interest, the voice of these lobbyists are louder than the voice of the people. And it is important that these representatives, these senators, are acting in the interest of the people to balance the will of the people against those special interests and those lobbyists. So we just have to remember that and hold our representatives accountable. And again, my hope in getting into office is to build a proof of concept that can be leveraged across the state for other representatives to make it easy for them to stay in touch, have surveys, increase participation by connecting people with their representatives, with their local government in a way that makes sense, especially for these sessions where laws are kind of coming hot and heavy. So a recent example, and again, I'm not picking on my opponent. I really, I think he's a good guy, but he introduced a bill that was concerning for the moment. There was very loud special interests, very loud groups and advocates that were supporting this bill. But there was massive concern from the people after it was passed. And because, again, most people don't have the time, they don't hear about it until the news announces, hey, this bill has been passed. Well, after that point, there was major outrage. And so that representative is now asking the governor to veto the bill that he helped pass because he didn't check in with the people. He didn't listen to the voice of the people until it was too late. And I think that that is super important for us to remember and realize is that my job as representative will be to take your voice, the voice of the people of Kaneohe and Maunawili. I don't care what party you're in. I don't care what job you have, what ethnicity you have, if you're an immigrant, if you're not, if you are a person living in my district and willing to share your voice, I am there to represent it and be a good steward of it in the people's house to make sure that the bills that I pass, the bills that I support, align with the wills and desires of my people. And again, you're not always going to like my decisions, but I will be open with them. I will have conversations with you about them with integrity, so you understand where I'm coming from. You understand where the need is and why I'm addressing it, and we can agree to disagree, or hopefully we can find a resolution. I'm all about solutions. Again, I don't have a big ego. I'm not in this for some status or recognition. I'm in this to do good, because I believe that we can do better, especially when we put people first. And the only way to put people first, in my opinion, is to listen before you speak, and then learn. And then once you have learned it, then you can lead it. So I'm going to be respectful in that. I'm going to make sure that I'm saying I don't know when I don't know, and that I reach out to my community to help to teach me, to help to educate me, that I am leaning on the resources of my community that I'm investing in, and taking that investment, taking that capital to the people's house, and hopefully being a good steward and representative of that to make our lives better. So that's really what it's about. So again, they will have live testimony. They will have written testimony. The written testimony will be available on the website, so you can track all of the versions of it, which will pull up a PDF that you can print or go through. For me, I like to print and then highlight things. And then there are different committee reports. So again, these are super important because it'll have conversations that the legislators are having. So in between these things, you can see what they're listening to, where their mind is. Again, they're weighing government agency needs, special interest needs, and the needs of the public in the testimony. Which again is great, but again, the component that we're missing is that balance from listening to the people to begin with. We cannot be expecting people to go to the Capitol, take time out of their busy lives to go and share on all of these things when special interests, lobbyists, and advocates are being paid to be there. We need to get away from that practice. We need to do better. There's a lot of talk about how we can make things better for people, all people, and this is a major one. That it doesn't matter what party you're in. All right. So this is what a committee report will look like, and then finally we have the testimony. So again, you can go through and read the testimony if you want to. It is important, or you can just kind of scroll and see who supports. Usually there'll be a statement at the beginning of who supports and who opposes a certain bill. So let's see if we can find. Sometimes there's just comments. So let me see. Yeah. So anyway, you can go through, and again, each time it goes to a different committee, there'll be a new committee report. There'll be new testimony. So again, once it's there, then they will vote on it. So again, they're voting as your representative on these bills. And it can either be passed as it is, passed with amendments, or deferred, which is basically stopping the process for this bill. So this one was passed with amendments. They can either vote yes with reservation, they can vote none, or they can vote against as a no, or they can be excused. So there is a quorum requirement there. Again, as your legislator, I'll do my best to be there when I absolutely can. If I'm missing it, it's because I'm speaking with you folks, the people. I don't have any other ambitions or drivers. This is the time where we need to put people first, and I just hope that message resonates, because like I said, it's absolutely needed. It makes sense. We used to be there, and we've just drifted away, where again, those voices inside of these institutions, inside of these places, appear to be much louder and heavier than I would like them to be. So after it passes one of those, then it will go off to the next committee. And again, this is usually in January and February, and then at a certain point, it is passed completely. So it's gone through its 3 readings in the Senate, and then it's transferred over to the House. And so meanwhile, the House is doing the same thing. They are going through all of their bills, going through their 3 readings before it is passed over to the Senate. And there are companion bills, so there can often be 2 drafts of the same bill, one on the House side and one on the Senate side. So after it goes to the other side, in this case the House, it would go through first reading again in front of the body. Again, first reading as it is passed over from the Senate. So with all the revisions that are there, they can look at the notes, they can look at the conference reports, and then it should be passed. And then if it's passed, it is sent to the House committees. And again, repeats this process throughout the months of March and April. And then once it is done, so again, it passes its 3rd reading, then it goes back over to the House. So this is what is considered to be kind of just a formality, unless there is a discrepancy or a concern with from the Senate as to what the House has done. So if the Senate is fine with what the House did, then they can just approve it and it can go off to the governor. But if there is any concerns, then they would have what they consider to be a conference. And so the Senate and the House will appoint conference members who will then come together to discuss what is going on in the bill and make sure that they can come to a resolution. So they can amend it in this process to make sure that it meets the final requirements of both parties are happy with it. So it can die in conference if they cannot come to a decision. If they are not able to agree, it can pass the Senate, it can pass the House, and then die in conference. But usually they do a good job of working together, come to a resolution if it's going to be passed, and then at the end of April, usually they will pass their final reading of the conference draft. So again, House draft or House bill, Senate draft, Senate bill, and then a conference draft, which will become a final bill that then is sent to the governor for signature or veto. So that is the final step. There is again either the governor would veto it or approve it, and it can go forth. So again, approval or veto. We went through the passage there, and then again, the governor can veto the bill at the end of the day. So there's a bill that we were just looking at, which limits executive powers. Again, from my perspective, I think there were some glaring omissions from the bill as it was finally passed. And even in its sort of, even in the state that it's in, we're not sure if the governor is going to sign it, because again, that would be the governor limiting the power of the position that he's in. Now, he is not eligible for a third term, so he might do it just to, I don't know. But this bill is in response to his exercise of power. So if he signs off on it, there are ways it's interpreted kind of against him. So we'll see. So again, the other thing that the Senate has the ability to do, I believe it's more than the House, is any appointee, they can approve the appointees, or they can actually veto governor appointees. So I actually had a chance to be in a Senate hearing where they did veto somebody as a choice for one of the executive offices as a director. And so they do have that power. And again, that's a check and balance against the governor, just to make sure that the appointees are appropriate, and also hopefully addressing any conflicts of interest. So as your representative, again, I'll be in the House side, so I won't be able to participate in that, but I can still share what's going on, and again, make sure that I am working closely with our senators and sharing the voice of the people as I hear it from these districts. That's really the main point to me for a lot of this run, and I do want to make sure that I am really trying and hopefully doing a good job of creating relationships and conversations between the various silos of government. So that's really it for the legislative side. So laws are, again, Hawaii revised statutes. You can pull those up on the Capitol website. And so what we are discussing here are various laws that are bills which are laws that are being put forth. If there is not a consensus for a bill, then both the House and Senate can pass resolutions. Resolutions are pointed at the executive branch, saying we, as representatives of the people, would very much like to see you do this or that. So between the legislative bills, and again, the major legislative bills that always start off the beginning of session are the budget bills. So that's probably the gap between the start of the bill we saw there and the start of session is generally we all start off with our budget bills. So that's the other very important aspect of legislature, is approving the bills, the laws that allocate the taxpayer dollars for these various activities of government. So that is why it's important to me, and I hope it's important to anybody who's voting, that the people that they elect are committed to being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. I spent the last 8 years working in procurement, I have 8 years of experience in procurement at various levels, which is contracts and acquisitions. That is how we are acquiring and contracting and spending taxpayer dollars for the goods, services, and construction needed to keep the government operational. So I understand it. It's a high ethics, it's a high standards profession, and it's all about being good stewards of taxpayer dollars. So that's my background. I will absolutely make sure that that is brought to the people's house, that we are being fiscally sound as much as possible, that we are appropriating and allocating budgets in a way that put people first, and is using taxpayer dollars to benefit the people as best as possible. So you can check out, again, all of those statutes there. And again, the way I want to wrap this up is as I go around and I am meeting with people, I'm knocking on doors, I'm asking for concerns. A lot of what I'm hearing are city issues. So the city and county of Honolulu is in charge of all of Oahu. They are in charge of any non-state roadway. So any city roadway, so not a highway, not an interstate, which is funny in Hawaii, but as if it's designated as a county road, the city is responsible for that. Any of the traffic lights, largely any of the drainage canals, largely any of the streams, which is a big one that I'm hearing in my community, is just these overgrowth of debris in the streams from both just being unattended from natural growth, as well as making sure that there is cleanups for the debris from transient and homeless people who often take refuge in these canals. So those are all city issues. Chickens, noise complaints, traffic roundabouts, traffic issues. Again, largely paving the roads outside of I know that Like was really bad and that took a long time, but that was a state issue. So, as your representative, I will make sure that my eyes are on my responsibilities, my kuleana, but I will also make sure that I am a representative of the people regardless. So if it's a city issue, if it's a Senate issue, if it is out of my jurisdiction, I'm not going to just refer you off. I am going to walk you over. I am going to make sure that I am having conversations with the community to aggregate as many voices as possible. So as I go and share that with the appropriate stakeholders, I am acting on your behalf to be a part of those conversations in a major way. So that's very important to me, just to educate people on, as well as to just make sure that people understand that you shouldn't be getting handed off and just say, sorry, not my job, not my lane, somebody else, pointing fingers and having people run around. They work for us. The government works for us. Our legislators work for us. The senators work for us. Again, it all goes back to that first section. All power of government is derived from the people. So we as people need to find a way to speak clearly, speak together, and make sure that they are working on our behalf. And that's what I'm running to do, is again to build those connections and make sure that I'm working on your behalf, the residents of Kaneohe and Maunawili. And I don't care if you're across the stream from me, or if you're not like directly in my my jurisdiction. If you're on the windward side, if you're there, if I can help, if I can be a voice, if I can be a part of the conversation to make things better for people, I will. That's my job. I'm not looking for anything crazy as far as making a ton of money here. If I was worried about money, I would have stayed in my last profession in procurement, which I left and opened up the opportunity to do this run for office. And again, I feel compelled to be your representative, to be here, to make these educational videos, to share as much as I can. Again, hopefully I can splice this together, make it as nice as possible, and put out a good product here. This is the first live stream. We're going to try and do this as much as possible. So hopefully we'll get some content out to share around, and we'll clean up as much as we can. Again, thank you so much. If you're watching this, like and subscribe. Please comment, be a part of the conversation. I want to hear from you. I want to listen to you. That's what this is all about, is how can we break through? How can we have that connection? Hopefully we'll get some guests on. We'll have some cool talks. And it starts here. So please check out the website. Check out LRB, check out capital.hawaii.gov. Make sure that you're understanding these things. Again, we'll be doing more classes throughout the weeks, going through and making videos for submitting testimony, for how to look up a statute, going over the statutes, going over the city and county, the executive branch, all of these things, so that we can, again, provide a better understanding of politics, so that we can have conversations. Because I think a large part of the lack of those conversations is so much of the population, unless you're a political science major, unless you've worked at legislature, just don't have the time for, don't want to learn. And I get it, and that's why when I go and I knock on people's doors right now, I'm just saying, enjoy your summer, but hopefully this fall we're ready for some change. And please vote Sean Ritchie. Again, this is a complete leap of faith for me. I have the knowledge, I have the integrity, I have the passion, I have the drive and purpose. I know that I can do this. I know that I will make the people of Kaneohe and Maunawili proud, but we must campaign, we must go through this. And I just hope that some of my efforts, any of my efforts, can break through and make a difference. So I'm going to be wrapping this up, but thank you guys so much. Anybody who watched, please send me an email, voteseanritchie@gmail.com. Fill something out on the website, follow us on social media, like and subscribe. We'll be back at it tomorrow, and we're just going to keep this going as much as we can. Thank you so much. Please take care, stay safe, and be well.